Just before sunrise in the Bahamas, the world goes quiet. The water is glass. The palms barely stir. It feels like a place where nothing bad could ever happen. But on June 19th of 2024, that calm broke. Somewhere on the island, a woman searching for peace disappeared. Her name was Taylor Casey, a 41-year-old yoga teacher in training from Chicago who came here to complete her certification at the Sivananda Ashram Yoga Retreat. A place that promised stillness and renewal became the center of a mystery that still has no answers. This is the Ebony Cases from the Icy Bridge Files, the story of Taylor Casey and the search for the truth in paradise. Before the headlines, before the hashtags, Taylor Casey was just Taylor. She grew up on the south side of Chicago in a family that knew how to fight for joy. As a child, she was curious, soft-spoken, a listener. In adulthood, she became the calm other people reached for. She had been practicing yoga for more than 15 years, teaching in church basements, community centers, and LGBTQ youth spaces. Her friends called her classes church without rules. For Taylor, yoga was spiritual work. She said it taught her to breathe through what hurts. She was also a Black transgender woman, openly and unapologetically. Her mother, Colette Seymour, says they worried about how the world might treat her. So when Taylor first went missing, the family kept that private, fearing that people would focus on her gender identity instead of the urgent need to find her. But as the weeks passed, they realized her whole truth was the only way to honor her. Colette later told reporters, "We can't hide who Taylor was to make people comfortable." By spring of 2024, Taylor had a plan. Complete her certification in the Bahamas, return to Chicago, and open her own studio for healing and inclusion. She was excited and ready for the next chapter of her life. Her friends say they felt proud. They just never imagined that flight would be the last time anyone saw her. The Sivananda Ashram sits on Paradise Island, just across a bridge from Nassau. It's a place where visitors rise at 5 a.m. for chants and silence, where phones are discouraged, and the day belongs to discipline. Taylor was one of just a handful of Black participants. She was determined to finish the course. On June 18th, she called her mother. Colette remembers every word. Taylor said the retreat was hard. Her voice sounded tired, uneasy, but she insisted she was fine. That would be their last conversation. The next day, June 19th, Taylor was seen near her tent, quiet, reflective. By the morning of June 20th, she missed class. Staff checked her tent. Her passport, clothes, and notebook still there, but Taylor was gone.
It's been 4 weeks since a Chicago woman disappeared during a yoga retreat in the Bahamas. Yesterday, family and friends of Taylor Casey gathered on what would have been her 42nd birthday to push for answers.
The agony is practically killing me. And not just me, your whole family, your friends, and all of your associates.
Casey's mother fought back tears as she read a letter to her missing daughter. People who love and miss Taylor stood in support and solidarity, calling for more resources and help to find her. So far, the Royal Bahamas Police search has offered very few answers. Recently, the officer in charge of Taylor's case was suspended.
It's been 3 weeks since Taylor's been missing. And one thing is abundantly clear. The only reason why anything is happening is because we're making it happen.
A representative from the Chicago mayor's office vowed to offer resources to help find Taylor, a Black transgender woman. Her family fears her identity may have something to do with a lack of urgency in this investigation.
That was Fox 32 Chicago reporting just weeks after Taylor disappeared. Bahamian police say a canine unit tracked her scent from the tent to the shoreline. then lost it at the water's edge. 2 days later, divers found something that should have been a breakthrough: Taylor's cell phone, deep beneath the waves.
This morning, the urgent investigation unearthing new clues but few answers in the mysterious disappearance of Taylor Casey, the Chicago woman who vanished more than a week ago in the Bahamas.
We're going to continue to do our part in the investigation to see that we can find Taylor and to bring her back safely from wherever she may be.
Casey sending this photo to her mother the day before her disappearance, writing, "Thank you, Ma, love you."
The phone was retrieved from over 50 feet below the surface, but police say they could not access its data. No wallet, no clothing, no sign of Taylor herself. Yet, classes at the retreat continued as usual. Tourists meditated on the same beach where the search team stood days earlier. For her mother back in Chicago, that silence was unbearable.
We need Taylor home. This shouldn't have happened. Whatever happened, and we need answers.
That was Colette Seymour, Taylor's mother, heartbroken, confused, and already facing walls of silence. She told reporters she was getting conflicting information from authorities and that she planned to travel to the Bahamas herself. The retreat, meanwhile, issued a brief statement expressing concern, but for Colette, that was not enough. In her words, "My daughter did not just walk into the sea."
Authorities in the Bahamas say they'll continue to fully investigate the disappearance of Taylor Casey. The Chicago woman was last seen there last month on a yoga retreat. In a new statement from the Bahamas Consul General, authorities say they are cooperating with U.S. authorities as well as Casey's family, even with claims from Casey's family that not enough is being done to find her.
That report helped piece together what little timeline existed. Taylor arrived around June 10th, called home on the 18th, and was last seen on the 19th. Her disappearance was reported on the 20th, but it took 2 more days for a search to reach the water. In those early hours, opportunities to find her alive may have slipped away. And for her family, the questions were mounting. Who was responsible for the search? What evidence had been secured? And why did it seem like no one was talking? What happened next would pull Taylor's mother into the center of her own investigation and change the story from missing person to a fight for justice. When days passed with no updates, Taylor's mother, Colette Seymour, booked a one-way flight to Nassau. She wasn't coming as a tourist this time. She was coming as a mother on a mission. She expected to find search teams, caution tape, urgency. Instead, she found silence. Taylor's tent still stood open, belongings untouched. There were no flyers, no checkpoints, no signs of an active investigation. Colette later said it felt like her child had been erased.
Good morning. My name is Colette Seymour, and I wrote a letter to my child on today for her birthday, and I like to read it. First of all, I like to give all glory and honor and thanks to the Lord Jesus Christ, who is my Lord and Savior, and gives me strength. Taylor, this is so hard. Taylor, we love and miss you so much. Taylor, today is your birthday, and we all just want to say happy birthday, although it's not so happy because you are not here with us.
That was CBS Chicago's report from Nassau, showing Colette's arrival and the uneasy calm she walked into. With her came Taylor's close friend, Emily Williams. Together, they searched beaches, questioned locals, and pleaded with police for updates. But answers were few and vague. Emily said she asked investigators whether Taylor's tent had been treated as a crime scene. They told her no. The family also learned that the Royal Bahamas Police Force officer leading the case, Chief Superintendent Michael Johnson, was suddenly suspended.
The chief superintendent of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, who has been leading the search for a missing Chicago woman, has been suspended. Authorities say the suspension is due to what they're calling a concerning voice note on social media. They didn't offer any other details than that.
Johnson's suspicion deepened the family's fears. The same man responsible for finding Taylor was now under investigation himself, accused of misconduct linked to leaked voice messages. If the lead investigator was compromised, what faith could they have in the process? Colette demanded U.S. involvement. She reached out to the FBI and the U.S. Embassy, calling for oversight. Back home, the Chicago community mobilized, creating the Find Taylor Casey Facebook group, organizing fundraisers, and offering a $10,000 reward. But for Colette, none of it replaced the one thing she needed most: her daughter. By midsummer, it was clear. Finding Taylor would depend not on officials, but on her mother's determination. Officially, the Royal Bahamas Police Force still lists Taylor's disappearance as an active investigation, but the family says otherwise. The case file shows no named suspects, no released forensic results, no new leads since that phone came up from the sea. Months went by with only brief press releases repeating the same line: the search is ongoing. But on the ground, there was little sign of one. And then came another silence from the media. Outside of Chicago, few networks carried Taylor's story. The cases that filled prime time were others, usually white, often younger, always headline ready. Advocates call it missing white woman syndrome, the pattern where some disappearances dominate coverage while others barely register. For Taylor, being a Black transgender woman meant facing that erasure twice.
1 year now since a Chicago woman went missing in the Bahamas. 42-year-old Taylor Casey went missing during a month-long yoga retreat near Paradise Island. She's been a fixture in Chicago's transgender community and a youth advocate for decades. Casey's family asked the FBI for help, saying they weren't satisfied with how the investigation was being handled. In September, the FBI told us the Bahamian authorities were leading the investigation. We reached out to the yoga retreat in the Bahamas about any updates. A spokesperson says there is no news about Taylor.
That was CBS Chicago, marking 1 year since Taylor vanished. Colette spoke through tears, saying she refused to let her daughter's name disappear again, this time from memory. Online, activists amplified her message. Hashtags like Bring Taylor Casey Home and Protect Black Trans Women spread across Twitter and Instagram. But even as awareness grew, national coverage stayed limited. In the absence of headlines, the family became both the investigators and the advocates, the ones keeping the search alive. Taylor's disappearance is part of a wider story, one that stretches far beyond Paradise Island. Every year, Black women travel abroad for work, study, or healing, and some never come home. In 2018, Carla Stefaniak vanished in Costa Rica. In 2022, Shanquella Robinson died under mysterious circumstances in Mexico. Each family fought foreign red tape, slow responses, and indifference. When disappearances happen overseas, U.S. jurisdiction stops at the border. Families must rely on foreign agencies that may lack resources or urgency. At the time Taylor traveled, the Bahamas already carried a Level 2 travel advisory from the U.S. State Department, citing rising violent crime even in tourist areas. But few retreats mention those warnings in their brochures. The wellness industry sells peace, but offers little protection. Many centers are unregulated with no standard emergency procedures. Former Sivananda attendees later told reporters they sometimes felt isolated or silenced. None of them linked directly to Taylor's case, but together their accounts raised concerns about transparency and accountability.
Now, just a day after Taylor went missing, the Royal Bahamas Police Force created a missing persons flyer, which, if you're watching this episode, you'll see it here on the screen. It didn't provide much information at first, but it did feature Taylor's photo, as well as some brief descriptions of her. and it noted that she was last seen on Wednesday, June 19th, 2024, which has been confirmed. Then a few days later, on the 24th, a press release went out providing additional details. And in this release, Taylor was described as a light-skinned Black woman, approximately 5 feet 10 inches tall, 145 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. She has natural hair often covered by a do-rag. And there was also a quote from Colette on it, who said that she believed her daughter was in danger because she knew Taylor was eager to share her retreat experience with others upon her return. And this sentiment is truly shared with everyone who knew her.
Independent creators like this one helped piece together Taylor's story when mainstream media outlets moved on. In the digital age, sometimes justice begins and ends on the timeline. Advocates such as the Black and Missing Foundation continue to highlight Taylor's case as an example of why equal coverage matters. Because when a Black woman goes missing abroad, the world should shake, not shrug. 1 year later, the water is still. The same waves that washed over Paradise Island now echo thousands of miles away in Chicago, where Colette Seymour still waits for her daughter. Taylor's books, her yoga mat, her favorite incense, untouched. Her phone recovered, but locked. Her passport missing. Her case still open. On June 19th, 2025, dozens gathered by the water. They said her name aloud, because saying her name is the only way to keep her here. Colette now calls her work Movement Through Mourning. She speaks at community events, partnering with organizations that fight for missing Black and trans women. Her goal is simple: that no other family ever feels as alone as she did. Taylor's friends say they still hear her voice when they teach or meditate, a whisper that says, "Stay grounded." And maybe that's her legacy. Not just the questions left unanswered, but the calm she left behind. Taylor came to the Bahamas looking for peace. If she couldn't find it here, maybe her story will help someone else find theirs. This has been the Ebony Cases from the Icy Bridge Files, the disappearance of Taylor Casey. Thank you for remembering with me. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and never forget, every story deserves to be told.